Yeah, turning the graphics down is, I mean, it's probably going to still have the same issues, but just looking at the waterfall and stuff, it looks substantially worse. Alright, so we are back to the starter base. Look at this lovely floating factory up here. Nothing to see there. And now we are heading towards the aluminium area. This is what I was talking about. I'll say it actually worse when we get there. The roller coaster effect of using my trains this way, this blueprint method. We have going down a hill and you have straight sections. But it was a million times quicker. So this is what I'm talking about here. So we start coming down the hill and it's a whoa, down and then flat, down and flat, down and flat. Not the smoothest, as you can see, but hey, it is what it is. All right, as you can see here, this is my aluminium plant. I do have a visitor. I have someone wearing a bonnet.
Do you know where the eye drops are?
In my cupboard thing. That was creepy. Alright, we can't get into that plant because I don't have my signal set and there's already a train there. Okay, so this is aluminium. This took a long time to decorate. I actually need to finish it. I really should put some wall finishes on the face of that because that looks a bit weird. But yeah, this is what I'm working on currently. We'll get to that at the end. But yeah, I built a aluminium factory. So I had a bit of an idea with this one of wanting to do it as a tiered setup. So I built the tiered setup and then I built the factory around it. So you get off the train track and you get a nice set of stairs. It's all skewed because I've got things on different angles for some reason. The train has a nice glowy tunnel to go through so you can run your stairs over the top. Got some lights. And then, yeah, we come to the factory. So this is what we're making here. Some fluid tanks, some aluminium casings, and some aluminium sheet. And this should all be running 100%. But as we can see here by this glowing yellow thing here, this one is not running at 100%. We're running at 50%. I don't know why. We don't have enough aluminium ingots. Why don't we have enough aluminium ingots? I don't know. It should work, but it doesn't. Yeah, so went with a sort of classic factory roof look, like with the sawtooth finish with the glass to let the light in. This is just a slat roof. This actually took ages to build. This is walls that I built in the blueprints and put out. Yeah, came up quite well. I do like it with with some lights in there. But yeah, this is our final product. Constructors and assemblers making the final aluminium products, and then we have our tiered smelters all running down here. Smelters. These are all pulling in aluminium scrap, and so similar to what I've done in some of the other factories, I wanted everything to be running at. These ones on the side I've got running flat out because I need to transport things quickly, but these are running slow speed. They don't need to be quicker to feed it properly, and it just makes stuff more visible. G'day, Polywaffle. Not as impressive as your 270,000 megawatts power factories. But yeah, I quite liked how this ended up. It looks grand. Why I'm getting yellow lights flashing up here, I don't know. At some point you just give up on those sorts of things. As much as you try and make it run perfectly, it just doesn't. Yeah, so we are pulling in water, pulling in bauxite, which is what you use to make aluminium. And yeah, refining all that and sending it up the chain to the top. Pulling in yeah, some bauxite from over here. Over here, we've got water coming in over here. Yeah, that's the outside look of it. So I've run out of power. There we go. Got power again. I was pretty happy with the end result of this. It did take. I've told the guys before. It probably took me like 3 hours to build the working factory, and then like 15 hours to make it look like this. Just making things look good adds a hell of a lot of time. Why is there a million flashing yellow lights over here? None of this should be flashing yellow. Actually, this might be okay to flash yellow. I think this is just feeding into a depot for something. What am I making here? Random little heat sinks. Making heat sinks, and I don't have a actual sink. An awesome sink here, which I should have, because this is currently backing up doing nothing. Alright, so I've spent most of my time in this area recently. As you can see, I've been building things over there. I've got some stuff over here. There's more things over there. So yeah, I'm going to show you some of this stuff, and then I'll show you what I'm working on currently. This train signal is flashing because there is no end to this train. It just stops up here somewhere. So it doesn't like that. It freaks out. We've got a whole bunch of yellow lights here. I don't know why. These shouldn't be yellow. None of this should be yellow, because this should all be feeding into a sink. Does this sink not have power? The sink does not have power. Why does the sink not have power? That's a good question. Let's give it some power. How has that happened? I don't know. All of a sudden, everything's working. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to come back to this. So the next thing I built was cooling units, I think, which is what we've got going on over here. I'm going to run out of power. So yeah, we're pulling in nitrogen gas from the other side of this hill here, running this in, and this is where I'm sort of talking about the self-contained factories. Why is this all yellow? What is going on? This is all running to sinks. There are sinks everywhere. There should be no yellow going on here. This game is so frustrating. I don't know. I'm going to have to look at this at some point and figure out what is going on. Something is backed up and is not feeding, which is a problem. Yeah, I'm going to have to debug this at some point. But anyway, yeah, so this is a self-contained factory that is meant to be making cooling systems. So cooling systems need heat sinks. Heat sinks need aluminium and copper. You need nitrogen to make heat sinks, I think. Yeah, we need fuel, nitrogen gas. No, that's making rocket fuel. Which one's making the heat sink? These ones. Heat sinks, rubber. Oh, I've got no rubber. Okay, this is all banked up because I have no rubber, because the rubber is coming in from what we were just looking at over there, where my sink didn't have power and everything backed up for some reason, and I had no rubber coming in. Actually, no, my rubber's coming from here. This should be making rubber here. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I don't know. Everything has stuff. I don't have rubber. I don't know why I don't have rubber. I don't have rubber because these aren't running. I don't know why these aren't running. These are all banked up. I don't know what's going on. I've disconnected power or something from somewhere, and something's backing. I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure that out. Anyway, yeah, originally when I started this factory, I went, I'm going to make a cooling systems factory, and then I'm going to make it look nice. And then you realize how much it spreads out and how big it becomes. This is everything that I'm like pulling in copper over there, which I'm smelting over there, pulling that in raw. I've got bauxite coming in from over there, and I'm then processing that here. So it just gets big and then becomes hard to make look good, and then you've got all the natural, terrain and waterfalls and stuff kicking around. What is this? Why do I have a random conveyor belt here? What was this connected to? Oh my goodness, I don't know what's happened here. Like I said, you go away for 5 minutes and all of a sudden nothing works. Why do I have foundations here? I've got this waterfall falling onto a foundation. Man, terrible. Just terrible. But yeah, what I want to do, I end up with, through this whole process, is I end up with a little bit of excess fuel. So I wanted to take that excess fuel and turn it into rocket fuel, which is this is meant to be doing. Does this not have power? No, this has got power. And then I'm sending that, I'm making some, taking a little bit of the aluminium, and I'm making some here, some fluid containers. These are meant to be there. No, actually, this is packaging. Fluid containers are meant to be coming in somewhere. I can't even remember what I've done here. And rocket fuel, and we're packaging that rocket fuel. It is then meant to go up, and I built this little tower. This is clipping through the hill, running up through the inside of this, and this is my drone fuel tower. So it all feeds up. I probably should just actually cover this because it just looks horrible. So this is feeding rocket fuel, packaged rocket fuel into all of these drone stations. And then what I would do is I then have a drone that comes here and it gets loaded up with rocket fuel. It gets fueled up itself and then it flies to wherever, like over here, which I'll show you in a minute. And drops off the rocket fuel, which fuels the drones that are landing at that station. I think this is the easiest way to keep all your drones fueled. You just, wherever you're going to want to use drones, you just make a spare drone port and just have a fuel drone fly there and drop off your fuel for you. There's probably other ways to do it, but that's what I came up with. Chris did most of the drones the last time we played, so it's a new experience for me. Yeah, so what I'm doing now is what we're looking at over here. I'm going to fall. I do like that the hover pack at least gives you that little bit of a boost, so if you do fall when you run out of power, you can not die. Alright, so we are now pulling in all this oil. We are fracking some oil. Pulling that all in here. We are making rubber and a little bit of plastic. And we're ending up with a bit of fuel. Fuel's going into some generators. And then we're pulling out some caterium out of here, making some ingots and some quick wire. And then we're using a couple of alternate recipes and we're making circuit boards. I think we're making like caterium circuit boards. And we're going to be making here computers. I think we're making crystal computers. So I'm making crystal oscillators over there. Can't click on it, it's too far away. So I'm going to have some drones bring from over there to here to drop off some crystal oscillators, and it will then pick up, we're going to pick up the computers and take them back to where I'm going in a minute. And we're then going to turn those into... No, we're not doing that. I can't remember. Maybe we are. I can't remember. We're bringing crystal oscillators in. We're going to make computers, and I think we're going to make radio control units. Here, maybe? Somewhere here? I can't remember. And then supercomputers at some point. So that is what this is, but it's currently not running properly because I haven't finished... Well, I've just finished making crystal oscillators, but I have not finished the drones. That's what I would have been doing tonight if I was not streaming. So yeah, let's go over to the last thing, the thing I'm currently working on. Yeah, this swamp area is what made me rage turn off the monsters, because this area is full of giant spiders that just slaughter you all the time, and it's really annoying. So I went soft and turned them off, made them passive. Let's just pull up here. I don't currently have a train track or any good way to get over to this factory. I will do that at some point. So we're just going to follow the power and hope that we can make it. There we go. These things are thermal generators. You put them on these little thermal vents and they just pump out a little bit of power for you. Look at my measly power, Chris. Look at this. 23,000 megawatts. It's a drop in the ocean. We're falling. Alright, so what I'm doing here, currently this is pulling out ore, making it into ingots and just throwing them all into a sink. This will become stators, rotors, and motors to then make turbo motors. Turbo motors? I think that's what they're called. Those ones, yellow and black ones that I just said. I think they're called turbo motors. Yep, I haven't done that yet. This is pulling in or doing exactly the same thing, but it is feeding that ore into this factory here. So this is not finished decorating it, but this is what I've been working on. So I haven't figured out, I don't have stairs. I'm kind of thinking I might just wait until we get lifts in 1.1 and then I can just run a lift up the front to do the levels, because I haven't actually worked stairs into the factory design at all. But we are pulling in iron from here. We're pulling in quartz from way over here. Right up on the top of this mountain. Quartz all the way up here. Just pull that all down across some buses and run it in here. And then we're using a bunch of alternate recipes to do a few different things. So ground floor, we're just doing like iron wire, making wire. Yeah, feeding that up. Oh man, having turned my graphics down, this looks woeful. I gotta turn it up. That's horrible. Let's see how long it takes before it gets jumpy. I mean, you can at least see it now, but it's extremely dark. Maybe because it's nighttime. But yeah, we are building things. It's really dark. You can't even see the lights anymore. What is going on? We're making wire. We're making iron plates. We're making screws, I think. All the stuff that you need. And then we are feeding all that up. This is the... I can't see it. I don't know why. My game's being horrible, but this is all the natural background of the mountain. And with all the... conveyors lifting up, and then hidden under here is a jumbled mess of spaghetti and a whole lot of clipping that we just won't look at, and we'll just pretend that it all looks nice, because I'm taking like one feed of screws, or maybe 2 feeds of screws, and splitting them into 6 feeds of screws so that I can run them up nicely with conveyors, and then so it works better with what I've got up on the next level. This is so dark. What is going on? Why is it so dark? It's like the gamma is... I mean, it is nighttime, but... yeah, and then similar to the other factory that I showed you before, my heavy modular frames, all the stuff is running under the glass floors. Again, running slower conveyors to bring them all up. And then we're making reinforced iron plate and stuff all up here. And then, again, we have the... Wow, that looks horrible. We have... You cannot see it because it's just black for reasons. Wow, why is that so bad? Why is it so dark? Turn the gamma right up? I mean, that's not much better. Yeah. Anyway. That's the mountain. There's stuff going up in front of it that you can't really see. Yeah, so that is the assembler level, and then that is feeding up to manufacturers, which, again, I haven't figured out exactly how I want to decorate this. Probably going to run some lights around the inside, similar to that other factory. And, yeah, we've got belts all pulling in through here, coming up from those conveyors. We've got the natural mountain behind there. That just looks woeful. Far out. Why is that so bad? So normally, you can see this is all mountain, the mountainside. That looks like this, with all, you know, moss and leaves and trees and stuff all over it. And yeah, we're making crystal oscillators, and then they are feeding up to a couple of drone ports. And so this will have fuel. This will be a fuel coming in from that tower that we looked at before, wherever that is. Somewhere over there. There. Fuel coming in, that'll feed into here, and then this will bring in crystal oscillators over to that other computer plant over there. So, yeah, not 100% sure how I'm going to finish with the decoration on this one. I kind of left it all open for this top floor. Some lighting. Kind of looks interesting, but I don't really know what to do on the front. I will probably, like I said, I'll probably put a lift up the front when we get lifts, and maybe enclose the lower sections. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to run a train line through here at some point. I don't know. I haven't planned that out yet. So yeah, this is what I've been building at the moment. So I need to finish. I need to finish the drones, get that set up, and fly the crystal oscillators over there. I can't click on too far. And then finish making radio control units and supercomputers and turbo motors. And then I need to work on some fused frames. So, yeah, that's where I'm up to at the moment. It's taken a while to get here. But I am thoroughly enjoying it. So, yeah, I think I'm going to give up on streaming Satisfactory because my computer doesn't like it unless I can figure out what's going on and why things look so poorly and why my computer goes jumpy. Let's just see if it is a nighttime thing. Maybe when it gets to daytime, it will look better inside. I'm struggling with lighting stuff, making things look good. You can get lights, like there are ceiling lights, but they just look... You gotta run power to them. And they're just big and ugly. Like, they just look like big fluoro lights. Obviously, you can't see them at the moment. Run some power to one and show what they look like. There we go, down here. Yeah, we got power. Yeah, so they look like that. I don't really like the look of them. So I'm kind of just going with panels. So these panels that are all lighting this up here are... they're actually signs, billboard signs. So you place a sign and then you turn it into a light by getting rid of... making it, you know, whatever color you want your light to be. Getting rid of the icon and the text. Oh, whoops, I did that. And making it really bright, and it just turns into a light. But for reasons, all you can see is the light, and you can't see anything that it is lighting up. I don't know why. Anyway, yeah. So I need to... I mean, while I'm going, I might as well finish doing what I was doing. Yeah, I'm not going to bother with any more decoration on this until I know exactly how I want to finish it. I think I'm just going to leave it as it is. Not touch it anymore. Why is this flashing yellow? Again, this entire factory should be running at 100%, and we're running at 89% for some reason. 96. 100. Like, these are all getting the exact same feeds. They have direct lines that are split and loaded to get them the exact amount that they need, and yet still they run at weird numbers. Actually, what I really should do is go and diagnose what on earth is going on over there and why that is not running, because that is a problem. Actually, maybe we'll set these drones up. I can't remember how to do drones properly, so I'm going to... I think I've already named these drone ports, so I need to actually make some drones. So let's whack a drone there, and a drone there. I don't know how you rename the drones as well. I don't know if you can rename the drones. Actually, before I tell those drones to go, I need to... No, I do have fuel going on. So this is the fuel drop one. So this... I haven't renamed the drone... All ports. Can I rename these from here? No, I can't. I need to rename these to... drone things. The fuel things. What are those exclamation marks? I don't know. I also have no quick way to get from here over to there to do what I need to do, which is a bit annoying. So maybe I delete these drones from here and I'll go and put them where I want them. But yeah, this port should be... Yeah, it is filling up with... It's not filling up with crystal oscillators. It should be filling up with crystal oscillators. It should be getting 10 a minute. But this is getting none. Why are we getting none? There's 1, 2, okay. We are getting them. They're just... I guess 10 a minute is not that many. Okay, it is extremely... This, I would have thought this would have filled up by now, but maybe not. Okay, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of traversal to get over there. I don't think I've got enough power towers. I'm just going to fly. See if we can come across any spiders along the way that scare the absolute bejeebers out of you. Yeah, I can put a different jetpack on. So yeah, you've got these radioactive giant boar things, these hatcher things, these... I mean, look at that, you've got 2 giant boars and a radioactive one. Just a massive pain. You've got gas clouds everywhere. So we have a gas mask which has gas filters and iodine filters. Gas filters filter out the gas, poisonous gas, and the iodine filters filter out the radiation. But you need to make sure you've got enough of those. If you run out, you are just dead. Oop. Yeah, I just nearly died. Oops. Yeah, okay, so why? So we're making copper. I think these are just... No, these are not getting enough aluminium scrap. So we're not making enough. This is running at 43%. Are we banked up on water? Maybe it's the water that's banking this up. Sometimes, so the aluminium process is a little bit annoying in that this needs water to take the bauxite to turn it into alumina solution. You then turn that alumina solution into aluminium scrap. I'm not going to call it aluminum scrap, even though that's what it says. It makes aluminium scrap, but it also makes water. So you've got to feed that water back into here. Now, it is, or should be, set up. We are making 146.667 water here. This needs 245 water per minute, and I have one pump that should be making the correct amount of water. I'm not going to bother adding that up again to feed this properly. But if anything backs up, you end up with this thing backing up with water, too much water in its system, and then that just shuts your whole system down. So I'm going to flush this out and see if that then fires us up. It will take a while for that to play out, but that could be the problem, because we are producing some aluminium scrap, which we are using here, but we're not getting enough to these ones at the end. We should be producing the correct amount of aluminium scrap here to go through these smelters and produce ingots. Those ingots are going into here with copper, making the aluminium sheets. So they're obviously not getting enough. These are running at ridiculous percentage. We've then got copper sheets feeding in to make yeah, what the heck is this doing here? We are making, yeah, copper feeding in to make copper sheets, which should be feeding around to, I think we make casings, no, heat sinks. So these are running only at 25. We've got plenty of resources here, which means these are running low because the heat sinks are backing up. The heat sinks are backing up. They are feeding into here because we are not getting enough rubber. We are not getting enough rubber because I don't know why. Possibly because the heavy oil residue has backed up. Fluids are a pain. I'm just going to flush this all out. Which should fire these up. So what that tells me is this is probably, I'm not using up enough of this heavy residue. So when you have a refinery like this, it's taking in an oil, it is producing a solid and a liquid. You need to have uses for both of these. If either of these back up, you shut the system down and then you stop making both products. So the rubber is easy to deal with in that you can run it into, if you need to, you can just run it and overflow into a sink, which is this thing here, and it just chews it up and you get coupons for it. But the fluids, you can't do that. So, which is why this fluid is feeding into this, which is making fuel. That fuel should be feeding into this, which should be making a rocket fuel. And the rocket fuel should be feeding into this to make packaged rocket fuel. But if this is not getting enough tanks, which it's not, it's clearly not, it's then backing up the rocket fuel, which is then backing up the refinery, which is then backing up my rubber production, which is shutting everything down. So I'm not getting enough these things, fluid tanks. So where the heck am I making fluid tanks? I'm making fluid tanks over here, which is at the very end of this line of aluminium ingots. And so this is running at 54%. So I'm not making anywhere near enough. Night cue ball. Yes, I would not be surprised if you see yourself getting addicted to this game, because it's just that sort of game. So yeah, we're not getting enough aluminium ingots, which is causing issues. So I need to sort that out. Maybe I need to well, I need to make sure that I'm making enough aluminium, and then it's not a problem. And I probably need to make sure that I'm making more tanks than I need and sinking them or something. What else is banking up? So if I'm not using the heat sinks, that shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, I just need to make sure I'm making enough aluminium. Alright, so these are starting to run better now. This is back up to 91%. This is back up to 89. So it's weird. You can have a factory running for weeks and weeks and it runs at 100%, no worries. And then for some reason, usually because of the fluids, it backs up and it all shuts down. The joys of aluminium. Alright. So I've done what I can for this for now. I'm just going to have to leave it. It needs time to see if this is going to run properly. It looks like it is running better, which should then kick this all into gear at some point, and then we should be running better. So I'm seeing a lot more greens kicking on here, which is good. Okay, so what I wanted to do was name these fuel things. So rocket, fuel, pickup 1. Let's be super creative. Rocket fuel pickup 2. Three. Why do I have 5 million crystal oscillators in my inventory? I don't know where they all came from. Okay, that's the rocket fuel. And then, so I'm going to set a drone here. Drone, and I want this drone to go from here. This port. I need to go from this port to fuel drop at the crystal oscillator factory. And then come back to this port. So this drone should just fly off, take fuel over there, and come back. And basically just keep doing that. I think with the drones, if the port at the other end is full, it won't go, which is handy. Could have just flown in a straight line, but nope. Let's watch that drone. Off it goes. There it goes. It's landing and dropping off fuel there. Okay, cool. So then I need to set up. It hovers endlessly over the incoming port, does it? Okay. I've seen drones just sitting at a port for ages. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't experienced enough of drones. You were the drone expert, Chris, and I became the train expert. Okay, so these should be running properly now. Now that we sorted that out. Yeah, they're running 100. Yep, everything's running 100%. Okay, cool. Good. I must have just accidentally deleted it. I think I want this power. Let's just run this power to there. Okay, so I need computers. So now I need another drone here. I want to rename this port to Computer Factory Crystal oscillator. Drop off. Let's go with that. I don't have power. Why don't I have power? I need power. Where do I have power? Where's the power here? There. That'll do. Whatever. Alright, so then we can whack a drone here. So what am I doing? I've got, for some reason I'm feeding these computers out of here and into this drone port. What was my plan with that? I don't really want to take computers over to there. So I think for now, I might just... What am I doing? I don't even have all these belts connected. I think I intended on... Oh, I can't even remember what I intended on doing. What I'm going to do is, for now, I'm going to delete this. I don't even know why this isn't outputting. No, that's the overflow. Yeah, that should have been output. This is making nothing. What are we doing? I don't even know. Goodness me. What happens when you try and do too many things at the same time? What I'm going to do, I'm going to belt these up. That. Nope. And I'm going to delete this. I'm going to run these into some storage. Actually, let's do smart splitter. And I'm just going to chuck a couple of storage containers here for now. Till I remember what on earth it is that I'm doing. And let's just put a sink. Let's just whack a sink here for now. I hate that these sinks have these giant antennas on them. It makes them really hard to fit in buildings. This sink will need power. Let's not forget that. And then we will set center to any and left to overflow. And let's just get this factory running, whacking computers into there, and then we'll figure out what on earth we're going to do with them after that. So let's put a drone in here, and then we want this one to go to Crystal Oscillator Factory Pickup, and then come back here. Yeah, I'm just going to delete this for now because I can't remember what I intended on doing that. Maybe my plan was to build another factory or part of that crystal oscillator. I have a feeling when I built that crystal oscillator factory over there, I thought it was going to be way smaller than it ended up being, and then it just turned into a gigantic thing that is all it is doing is making 10 oscillators. And that's it. I kind of want this to be going into that sink. Well, we can use this smart splitter, and we can send just computers. We could do a programmable smart splitter, but I don't think I've actually unlocked those. We want computers to go in that way. And then we can link this belt here. So then any excess, whatever it is that we're making here, circuit boards, circuit board should be set to go, yeah, to the right and overflow to straight. They'll get merged on this line. These lines are running small quantities of stuff, so it doesn't really matter if I'm merging onto that line, and then they can just go into the sink. Our computers, once we start making them, will go into storage for now, and then once this storage is full, which is going to take ages, I think we're making 3.33. We are making 10 computers a minute. I do have this planned out for something, actually. Let's... Satisfactory Tools, the most visited website in my browsing history. I have some factories lined up ready to go. My plan is I'm making 10 computers a minute, 10 crystal oscillators a minute. Then I'm going to use 5 of those oscillators. Yeah, so I should be bringing 10 computers a minute into here. 10 crystal oscillators a minute into here. 5 of them are being used to make these computers, and then the other 5 are going to combine with the 10 computers that I'm making here, and some aluminium casings. Oh, there we go. We've got a bunch of crystal oscillators coming in. Look at that. Woohoo! Yeah, so half of those crystal oscillators and the computers, and then I'm going to need to probably train in some aluminium casings from the factory, aluminium factory, because I'm doing nothing with the casings that are sitting over there at the moment. I'm making 350 of them a minute. They're going to make radio control units, which are radio control units, these things. So yeah, I'm going to make these, which I then need for turbo motors, which are... I'm going to need those for space elevator parts and various things. So yeah, then I'll be making 10 radio control units a minute. Then I'm going to take those. I'm going to make some motors with that. The other iron that I had set up over there. I'm using a bunch of iron recipes to make rotors and stators. I'm using like iron wire, so I don't need copper. Rotors and stators that then make motors, so I'll be making 10 motors a minute. Then I will then be combining the radio control units, some rubber, which I am making here and currently doing nothing with. Cooling systems, which I'm going to have to bring in from where we just were over there, where nothing was running. And the motors to make turbo motors. Then, so that's going to use up 5 radio control units of the 10 that I'm making. Then the other 5 are going to be used also with cooling systems. I think I can't remember how many cooling systems I'm making over at that plant over there. I think it might be 20 a minute. So I'll have excess cooling systems. I take the remaining 5 radio control units and 5 cooling systems, and I use the alternate for supercomputers, overclock supercomputers, to make 2.5 supercomputers a minute. Supercomputers, these things, which then get used to make assembly director systems, which are one of these parts that are required for phase 4 of the space elevator. So yeah, I have that all mapped out already in Satisfactory Tools. It's just putting that all together. That will then get me... I think I'm already making some of those things at the one of my random plants, but I'm not making all the parts. I need to start making those parts. Yeah, so the next thing I need to make after that is fused frames. So I'm going to need to take my heavy modular frames, which are way up here. I think I'm going to use the alternate for heavy modular frames. You can do fused frames where you mix them with fuel and some other stuff. So I'll probably just transport those via train somewhere. maybe... What else do you need? Now I can't even remember. Fused modular frames need... so the standard recipe is heavy modular frames, aluminium casings, and nitrogen. The fused one is aluminium ingots, so you can go straight to ingots, so you don't need the copper. No, I think you can make casings. No, casings are just straight ingots, so I guess it just takes it one step out of the thing. Nitric acid you can make with nitrogen and iron plates, I think, and then some fuel. So it would need to be somewhere near fuel. So maybe it is just easier to go the standard one. I could take the casings from this aluminium factory because this aluminium factory over here, because I'm producing 350 casings a minute. I'm going to use some of them for here for making one of those things I went through before, but definitely not using 350 per minute, so I could take a bunch of those. I have nitrogen gas up here that I'm not using all of. No, that's only 2 impures and a normal. That's probably enough because I don't need that much. So maybe I make that plant over here somewhere as well, and I just train in the heavy modular frames and just build a factory over here next to this. This is going to be the most densely factoried area on the map for me. It's, yeah, quite a bit. Cooling systems, crystal oscillators, whole bunch of aluminium stuff. This is going to be computers and supercomputers and radio control units. It's quite a bit. Oh, here comes my drone. Why are you flying so high? Are you going to clip through the mountain? Oh, we're doing a wobble. Are we clipping through the mountain? Or are you coming down behind it? Are you coming down behind it? Okay. Alright, fair enough. Seems a bit excessive. Alright, so why is this... Because I haven't belted that. Oh, goodness me, I haven't even belted this. You idiot. Let's do that. Then things can actually run. And we can start making some computers. Look, we've got 20 computers in there already. Yeah, so I'm just going to duck back over. So this train line goes to nowhere at the moment. I'm just pulling in sulfur, and sulfur is going over to that factory over there for that tiny little bit of rocket fuel that I'm making. But I'm pulling into the pure coal node up here that I'm pulling in and running that all the way over to the aluminium plant. I'm going to build at some point here a rocket fuel plant. That'll be my next thing. There is a bunch of coal, there is sulfur, there is nitrogen, there's a whole bunch of stuff all here. I think this is where Chris built the first rocket fuel plant in our first playthrough, and then I think he built the second one here actually. So yeah, my plan is to basically fill this whole area with rocket fuel stuff. Maybe there. Yeah, that's probably the most likely spot. We'll see. It's either that or there's a spot somewhere in the map over here if I get there eventually. But I'm still, yeah, I'm producing 23,000 megawatts at the moment. My max is just under 15, so I've got plenty to work with at the moment. I've also, as you can see on my little thing on the side here, I need to upgrade my turbo fuel plant to Mark II. So that turbo fuel plant we looked at earlier is set up for Mark I pipes. So I can actually basically double what I'm doing there with pretty much just upgrading pipes. So that will give me an extra 12k, I think, in power, plus the boost from the alien thing. So that'll do me for quite a while. And then, yeah, at some point I'll need to set up the rocket fuel. I'm not going to bother. I was considering, well, initially I went, when I do my second playthrough, I'm going to do nuclear, but it's not worth it. My computer's just gone jumpy again. So I think we might just call it quits. It doesn't like streaming this game. Oops. I just want to quickly get over here. Oh! Jumpy, jumpy. I just want to get over here and see how green this is all looking. And then I'm going to jump out. Oh man, that is super jumpy. Alright, we are still not running green everywhere here. It looks like... Oh, it's so jumpy. No, even our smelters are still running yellow. Okay, so something's going on here. I must be producing too much water from my pump. So I'm going to have to have a look at that. But I'm going to end the stream here. That's some good faces there. Let me just quickly save this game so that it makes my OBS run better. Save the game. Save. Come on. Confirm. Yes. Come on, computer. Computer says no. Oh dear. Exit. Let me exit. Confirm. And it's fixed. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that when you play it. Yeah, so if you're, because you've got the